As the investigation into the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students continues, classes are also continuing in Moscow. And there are still a lot of questions unanswered in the case there. Ethan Chapin, Xander Kernoodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves were found murdered in their home just off campus back on November 13th. Autopsies determined that all 4 had been stabbed multiple times, likely in their sleep. Investigators say that they have no suspect or persons of interest, and the investigation is ongoing. In the days following the killing, students at the University of Idaho began to leave Moscow for a variety of reasons. Campus essentially cleared out, partially too because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So some students returned to Moscow and campus for the first time in weeks in recent days. The fear of the unknown in front of mind for many in Moscow. And Brian Holmes joins us now live from North Idaho. And Brian, you sat down with the Dean of Students today from the University of Idaho. What's the feeling in town? What are campus leaders saying?
Well, Joe, you know, the Dean of Students is not your average dean that you think about when you think about college. You know, the ones in charge of academics, make sure everybody's getting to class and doing what they're supposed to do. The Dean of Students is there to provide support to students, you know, make sure they have a good college experience. And for the past 2 weeks, that experience here at the University of Idaho has not been a good one for a lot of students. And that's where the Dean of Students, Dr. Blaine Eccles, comes in. He's been the Dean of Students here in Moscow for the past 7 years. He didn't have any kids that go to the school, but he likes to say he has about 11,000 of kids that attend the U of I. And it's that kind of attitude that makes a place like Moscow a great place to live, to work, and to go to school. And it's also why the past couple of weeks, he says, have been so hard.
It's a peaceful, friendly community. I mean, it's wonderful. This is a very supportive, inclusive environment. This is your quintessential small town community. People love living here. The neighbors are friendly. You get to know one another. So it's just very friendly, fun, and wonderful.
Put that against what it's been like the last 2 weeks.
Well, it's been shocking, clearly. I mean, for a small community like ours, we don't see this kind of crime. And it's absolutely impactful. And it's tragic in so many ways. It's definitely a stark reminder that crime can happen anywhere, and we're clearly not immune from that. It's impacted our students, and it's impacted our employees, it's impacted our community as well. But we're rallying, we're coming together, and we're doing so in a way that we're looking to support the family and friends of those most impacted, for sure.
From the parents' perspective, we've heard a few that have said, I don't know about sending my kid either back this semester or to U of I at all after something like this.
And we value those perspectives. I mean, it's scary what's happened, and it's horrible. And I can't fault any parent for having those concerns. But that's also why we've increased our security presence on campus. We've got a great partnership with Idaho State Police. We've increased patrols. We've created new safety programs. We have a Safe Ride now that operates from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. where students can call for a transport on campus to navigate around. If they're parked in a place and they're worried about walking to their car, we'll take them there. But I can't fault anyone. Given the uncertainty of what's happened and the worry that everyone has, we all get it, and you know, I'm hopeful that this will be resolved soon. That will help allay some of those worries and concerns. But again, this is just an example that violent crime happens, and it's horrible, and it's come to our community. It can come to any community, though.
What do you tell those parents?
We tell them that, hey, we're going to give your students the option and choice. Again, as adults, they can make that decision for themselves. And I think those are important family conversations for folks to have. But we've also heard from families and parents that said, you know what, y'all are doing a great job. And we really appreciate that. And while we're still worried, we feel comforted with the initiatives that you're doing as an institution. And so we're letting our student make that choice, and they're coming back. And we appreciate that as well. But we also want to maintain our message of vigilance and making sure our students understand that they have a responsibility for their safety as well too. They can't always look to external resources. They have to look to their own resources as well.
Okay, in what regard?
Well, walking in pairs if you're feeling nervous, reaching out and using the safety resources. It's not uncommon that students, you know, young adults will think that they're invulnerable, and clearly they're not. And so it's just being aware, talking with your roommates, talking with your friends, having safety plans in place. All of those things that we should all be thinking about in general.
Because that's this semester.
Right.
What about next semester?
We're not done with this semester yet. We're focused on getting through this week. We have the vigil tomorrow. We've got commencement next weekend. We're assessing what we're going to do next semester on a day-by-day basis based on how the investigation's going, where they're at. We're a month and a half out from there, so we haven't made any final term, long-term decisions on what that looks like.
As the Dean of Students, I've seen the reaction and how they're processing this and dealing with this. What about the staff? How has it been for you and the rest of the U of I staff?
Yeah, it's been hard. We live here. We have children that go to this school. While we're absolutely committed to supporting our students, we're still having to reconcile what's happened in our own minds because this has impacted our community. It's been difficult for many of us, quite frankly. It's shaken us to our core. And it's caused a lot of stress and anxiety, but I've been nothing but pleased and proud with how our faculty and our staff have responded. They've been doing an amazing job supporting one another, providing support for our students in spite of what their own challenges are. The outpouring of love and support has just been breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking, from not only our community members, but peers across the state. I've been reached out to from around the world, from Sweden to Australia to Switzerland. It's China. It's been amazing. And just today in my office, we actually opened a package, and it was a package of note cards from an elementary school in upstate New York that said, "We care for you, we love you," and just numerous little cards. And they're just beautiful. And so we're working to try to figure out how to get them out in a public display because it's a message for not just our office, it's for the university. And so those absolutely resonate, and they help us out so much, and it helps sustain us when it gets hard and heavy, because the work is hard and heavy right now. But you know what? We're going to get through it. I've been telling folks the only way we're going to get through this is together, and we're going to do it as a Vandal family, and it means so much to us.
Dr. Eccles mentioned that Safe Ride program that they just started up just in the last couple weeks. They've had the Safe Walk program around for a couple of years, but it's the same process. You call 888-885-SAFE, and someone will come and make sure you get there, whether walking or riding, to wherever you need to go. Whether or not they continue that, they're going to assess that as they go into the next semester, or not. So many people take advantage of that. And so right now, he said COVID has taught them a lot to just kind of adapt. When things get thrown at you suddenly, you kind of figure things out as you go. Joe?
Well, Brian, I know through our reporting and our teams that have been up to the Moscow area, they've told us, Moscow, it felt like it was a ghost town. A lot of kids, students say they're leaving before Thanksgiving break. Now that you're on the other side of break, does Moscow still feel very empty? Does it seem like a lot of students may have stayed back home and not come back to campus to end the year?
Well, we weren't able to spend a lot of time on campus today, but I did ask that question of Dr. Eccles, and he said anecdotally, he doesn't know right now, but anecdotally, he says it's about a vast majority of students have returned to end the semester here, which only is a couple more weeks to go before finals. And he said he was in a classroom just yesterday to kind of see how things were going. And basically, what teachers are doing, the professors are doing, are starting the classes by saying, okay, let's address this, let's talk about this, and let's figure out how we can go forward with this, asking the students, how can we best address what you need for your learning going forward the rest of this semester? And he said it's been fun, a good experience to watch them kind of take this head on and just kind of basically have a back and forth with the students to see how they want to handle this whole thing.
Brian Holmes reporting from Moscow this evening for us. Thank you so much, Brian. And Brian and our team will be up on the campus of the University of Idaho for the next few days, including for the vigil tomorrow evening. Brian Holmes reporting. Thank you so much, Brian. I do